race for Chivalry coming up in Gate 1. A horse that Lindsay's got a bit of thing on it. Charlie come up with speed the other night. Those streets getting the golden faded. Driving listed at the moment. Good fellas in outstanding form, looking for another win on the inside of the back row. Chris Lewis is ready to race. Chivalry won heavily in this training class 3 Sugar Street 4. Rockmaster, who was unlucky last start, came out late and flashing. Going in Forest, Skylu and 6 Regal Chazelle in 7th. Dominant Saxon resuming Fade and DeCampo, Medieval Man. Drawn out in 9. Good fellas inside of the back row. Following up Chivalry. 3 is a good one as well. A lot of chances there with Kiddo and Blaze Coops to be in battle early. Kiddo drawn 1, Blaze Coops in 2. And Skies has been racing great form in man's racing. She's started from America form into Gate 3. So we're close to a start here for the last, about 100 metres off release, with I better the long odds on favourite into $1.22 right out to $7.50 American Monarch. $6.50 now, rock and roll score. Sept, I better.
Yes. To me it means that each individual was created by God with an intent, with a purpose, and has the image of God within them, and so must be treated with respect in all forms of life.
In 2022, the US Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade in a landmark ruling that reversed a nearly 50-year-old protection of abortion rights in America. But for many pro-lifers like John, known as the Dobbs decision, didn't.
104 to winner.
One of 3 states that changed their constitutions to enshrine abortion rights in response to Dobbs. Voters here overwhelmingly supported this move.
And so you begin to realize that laws only
29, 3, 28, 7. 4 metres, 12 and a quarter by
life side to move the culture in a direction that is pro-life is not law. I think it's conversation. I think it's persuasion.
As someone who's in the pro-life movement, how has it felt seeing the kind of aftermath of Dobbs?
Politically, it's been very interesting because what used to unify evangelicals politically above almost anything else is now no longer there. And so the Southern Baptist Convention now is embroiled in a debate over exactly what our position should be in a post-Dobbs world.
So it's actually, almost surprisingly, caused more division within the denomination.
Yes, I think so.
So that we may receive mercy and find grace.
This division played out for the world to see this summer at the Southern Baptist Convention's annual meeting.
How are you looking at this help inform these views?
It's important to go back to principles. And so in the book of Genesis, we learn that God made people in his image. And just like if I have a picture of my wife and I start to destroy it, well, that says something about my feelings about my wife very strongly. In addition, in the Psalms, David, of course, writes, formed me in the womb, you knew me. So it's clear in the scriptures that God has a plan for that little one-celled fertilized egg.
But Daniel's views on IVF changed when 2 close friends used the treatment to have a child.
To be born, and they saw to it to make sure that all 6 of those viable embryos were realized, okay, what I've thought about this is wrong. It's not open and shut.
So it all really comes down to what happens to the embryos.
I think so.
And if all of the embryos, even if they're frozen for a time, are given the opportunity to be born, whether that's in the mother's uterus or adopted and given to someone else,
yes,
that to you is then consistent with Christian values and pro-life?
I would say so, yes.
This story inspired Daniel to stand up in front of 10,000 of his brethren at the annual meeting this summer, calling for the Southern Baptist Convention to soften its proposed stance on IVF.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to speak in favor of this amendment out of 2 friends of mine, a God-fearing Christian couple who ethically and morally use in vitro fertilization, or IVF.
Proposed resolution in its final form seemed to single out IVF because of the freezing of human embryos as being especially incompatible with a pro-life ethic. That's what that was. It would have made the resolution deal less with absolutes and more with the gray areas that we're living in.
I request this resolution be amended because in its original form, the resolution would castigate and condemn the entirely moral and ethical actions of these two friends of mine, calling their faithful sacrifice, struggle, and blessing a wicked thing. It would also...
I don't want to have to explain to my godson in 10 years that the church I belong to thinks he's somehow less than legitimate. Which it doesn't. I'm not trying to cast with too wide a brush, but I was very concerned because the resolution seemed to imply that a child who was born of IVF, something was wrong, and I just couldn't accept that.
I urge you to join me in affirming the ethical use of IVF while condemning its misuse by...
It was clear that this was not an open and shut situation where I was one person speaking against a multitude. This was a pretty divided house.
Others spoke, equally fierce in their condemnation of the fertility treatment.
My name is Monica Hall, and I'm a messenger from Oak Grove. We adopted as embryos. They were created in a lab, frozen, left over from someone else's IVF cycle, donated, thawed, and then